Hello everyone, welcome to another Art of War video. I'm John Lennon.
I'm Jack Harpster.
And we are here today in another dive into the 31st millennium. Today we're going to be breaking down the mission set in the Age of Darkness.
That's right.
We're talking today.
Horus Heresy.
We're talking about the Horus Heresy. We've got the Age of Darkness rulebook with us. The 30k train has no brakes. So we're here just to look at the missions and just explain how they work.
That's right. That's right. So we're going over all 6 deployments and all 6 missions that you might randomly roll each other.
Randomly roll into each other.
Because as battles in the 31st millennium are ever changing and etc., you might get any mission with any deployment.
Indeed. These are not your mama's 9th edition missions. No. So if you're coming over from 9th edition 40k, you will notice they are quite different.
They feel a lot more like 7th edition, honestly. Or 6th, really.
Yeah, this is a real blast of the past to 6th or 7th edition. Something that we haven't seen in a while. We personally haven't played in a while, but it'll probably look familiar to those of you who are veterans of the game. So
that's right.
Let's kick this off. So first up, there are 6 missions in the actual rulebook, and for all 6 of those missions, there are 6 deployments. And after you set up the train, you can roll a d6 to determine which deployment you'll be using for whatever mission you happen to be playing.
Both players can agree on one that they find agreeable or thematic, which I thought was nice.
I think that's a nice touch. I mean, I think we can sometimes, Jack and I will look at each other and be like, you know what? I am feeling like this, like we're going for blood today.
This is a blood feud.
This is a blood feud.
And then you go for mission 1, blood feud.
Blood feud. Yeah, like after one of my cons mercilessly slaughters Argyltal, and I tell Jack that he can't use him anymore because he's dead. I imagine Jack will be willing to swear blood feud.
Yeah, but that's where I come after you.
Oh no.
Yeah, but if you show up to the table and you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm just feeling like let's just do Tide of Carnage, and then you just rock that down on the table.
Like, I haven't played Tide of Carnage in a while. Let's rock it out.
So that's fun.
All right, so we have first up. We do have different deployment maps.
Yep. Let's look at them.
Yep. So let's just get that. Yeah, right there.
That was a very nice spread.
So 5 of the 6, I would say, are like relatively conventional, or look somewhat familiar.
Although the quarters one, Search and Destroy, is opposite quarters to the ones you're used to.
It is, yeah. So that was kind of a fun one to look at.
Weird.
And we should mention, by the way, that while they do put the typical caveat in there of you can play whatever size table you want, 6x4 is the standard and should be considered the standard.
That's what the game's designed around.
So definitely expecting 6x4 to be back common. So hopefully you did not literally cut those old mats and you instead taped them like most people did. Yeah. So you still have a 6x4 mat or 2 lying around.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming you could still get them from
you absolutely
various sponsors of ours, like Table War.
They do indeed still sell the 6x4s.
Good to know.
I think Sigmar's still on a 6x4, honestly. I'm not actually sure about that.
Is it?
I don't know. I just made it up. I have no idea.
Interesting.
But let's break this down. So 6 of them here, actually using the old names that we continue to use. The first one is Clash of the Line. This is the one where it's just like 2 arrows pointing at each other.
Yeah, just showing that to you real fast.
Boom.
That would be that one right there.
Marvelous. Quite interesting. That's one that you're still 24 inches away at your closest point, but you're not going to be able to fit a lot at the tip of the spear.
Yes. So, we used to have, was that an 8th edition pointy hammer and anvil?
8th edition, we had pointy hammer and anvil and pointy Donamore.
Right, and this is a more extreme version.
This is very pointy hammer and anvil.
Yeah, it used to be the points went to like 6 inches from the board edge, or I think it was even 12 for hammer and anvil. And in this, they go to the corner. So...
Yeah.
If you
classic violence.
Yeah, classic violence. If you want to be the tip of the spear, you got to be the tip of the spear.
Exactly. It's hard. There's only so many places you can actually be close.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be interesting. And because you set up the terrain before you know what deployment map it is, you can't just put a big wall at the tip of the spear and hope that this is the map you roll. Like that's not good odds. Dawn of War is literally classic Dawn of War.
Yep. If you've heard people refer to deployments as Dawn of War deployments during 9th edition, you're like, what is that? Well, that is because Dawn of War.
Dawn of War. Next up is the table quarters one.
That is what? Search and Destroy. Search and Destroy.
Yep. Classic.
Again, 9 inches from the center. So
next one is Hammer and Anvil.
Hammer and Anvil again.
You deploy on the short edges, and everything is 24 inches away.
Number 6 is Vanguard Strike, which is another classic map.
I forgot all the measurements on that.
Oh, it was 21.5 by
like 17.5?
14.5?
Was it 14.5?
I think it was 14.5 by 21.5. I don't know. We'll have to relearn it.
Yeah, looks a lot like Vital Intelligence. And then there is Ambush. And Ambush is the fun one.
Ambush is new. I've never seen anything even remotely like Ambush before. Let me just hold that one up again on there.
Boom.
That's Ambush. And if you're wondering what the center circle is, why there's 2 deployment zones on either side. Right.
That is the danger zone.
And then there's a circle in the center. You're like, well, what is that circle in the center when both players have deployment zones on the ends? Well, that's not how it works. One player deploys on the ends, and one player deploys in the middle.
So interestingly enough, the player who wins the roll-off may determine who is the attacker or defender. And that is going to be a big roll-off. Because if you win the roll-off and you're like, I want to... let's look at this. Yeah, I want to not be in the middle. Because who is it? It's the defender's area is the one in the middle. So they're like, I'm going to be the attacker so that you're in the middle. And then also I'm going to deploy first to go first.
Yeah.
That would be brutal.
Yep. It's like, who's ambushing who at this point?
Yeah, I don't want to be in the middle knowing I'm going second.
So that's going to be a dynamic we've never really seen before.
Exactly. Yeah, we personally have never played those because most match play or traditional competitive missions don't use that. But this is all about forging the narrative here. So, and honestly, it would be kind of fun to like put some white scars in the middle and just word bearers on each side. And you'd be like, you know what? That looks like the weak side. We're all going over here.
Yeah. I mean, if you were doing like a galactic map sort of deal, which I've always wanted to do.
That would be fun. Do like a map campaign?
Yeah, do a map campaign.
I would love to do a map campaign.
In Horus Heresy. Or even in 40K. You could do something you could do something like this map when you ambush. Like you maybe have a rule or something that lets you ambush or you sneak attack somebody. You're like, no, you're in the center. Yeah. You're in the Thunderdome and I'm coming to you.
This feels like an Alpha Legion kind of thing.
Really
like,
does.
Yeah, surprise. So really interesting maps here. 6 distinctly different ones. Instead of there just being one that's like, oh, this is a slight variant. You know how we used to have like a Dawn of War, and we always called it Pointy Dawn of War, which was 90% the same.
They named it something that I'm never going to remember.
I'm sure
in my
it was
life.
like Spear, Strike, Assault, or something.
Death, Attack, Zeal, and Clap, or whatever.
Yep.
So you can mix and match any of those with any of the missions.
Yeah. So 36 options just out of the main rulebook, and I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of like missions coming up in like narrative campaigns, because right in the old edition they would put out like towards the end of it they'd put out like little PDFs of like, hey, here's the Battle of Tarsus Ultra, and here's like a couple sample missions for doing Ultramarines versus Word Bearers or whatever the given campaign was.
Word Bearers indeed. Word Bearers.
No. But all things like that. Then they've got a full page here of all the mission rules that could be used. So oddly enough, a lot of these rules are actually addressed in the missions themselves, but these are like defaults. So I'm guessing that future mission packs, or if you want to create your own missions, will probably be referring to some of these as like standards.
That's my guess, because as you said, some of the things in here don't actually apply.
Yeah. So for example, random game length.
Right. So it includes a metric for how you randomly determine the game length. Yeah. End of turn 5, you roll a die. On a 3+, it goes to the next turn. And then at the end of turn 6, on a 4+, it goes to turn 7. Yeah. Well, all of the missions they give you are either 5 turns or 5 or 6 turns.
Yep. And they specifically give limits on how the game ends, and specifically that are not random game length.
But this can also be if you're designing your own mission. None of the missions in the book quite speak to your particular scenario you're trying to make. And then you can say, I'm just going
random
with my
own game length.
Yeah, I'm going with my own scenario. Well, this is the standard, though, in that case. And if you missed random game length, it's back.
It's back. So is Seize the Initiative.
Seize the Initiative.
Indeed.
It's always fun to meme out at the start of tournament games by pretending to seize the initiative on people.
Yeah, in 9th edition where it just doesn't exist. It's just like,
Yeah, fewer and fewer people are getting that joke.
I know. I've made the joke once or twice and gotten the blank stare, and I'm like, I'll just pick my dice back up. Forget I said
It's
anything.
not like they're not trying to they're like, haha, I'm sure there's a joke in here somewhere, and it's funny.
Yeah, a lot of people joined during COVID.
Yeah.
All right. They do a couple other things, such as sudden death victory. So if you get tabled you're done.
I'm sorry, Nick.
We do not check your points when you are out of models. You lost.
Nick loves getting tabled and winning.
So
do I. Honestly,
it's
it's
fun
one
when
of
you pull it off, but it's
hard to pull off, and it's a great
happening here.
stunt. But in the Age of Darkness, in the 31st millennium, they're not about that shenaniganry, that chicanery.
Absolutely not. So, basically, each mission is going to be broken down with a primary objective and a secondary objectives. Usually numerous secondary objectives. The primary objectives are usually worth more points. The secondaries are usually 1, but there's a couple of them. It just gives a quick explanation of what primary objectives are, and then it gives a full list of secondaries, but not every secondary is used in every mission.
Right. Some missions are themed around it, and if you make your own,
you can kind of pick and choose from the list which ones you want for both players to have to unlock.
Any or all, and some of them modify them.
Yeah, this isn't like 40k where each player picks from a list of secondaries and gets to choose them. The mission will have assigned ones that both players have to try to score.
Yes.
So, let's run through the line.
All right, we got Slay the Warlord.
Exactly what it sounds like.
If you have a Warlord, and your opponent kills it, they get a point.
Yep, and if that Warlord was a Primarch, an additional point. Basically, if you take Primarchs and you lose your Primarch.
Yeah, it's an oopsie doopsie for sure.
Yeah, that's a real bra moment.
Yeah, that's not
not where you want to be.
It's not very thematic. If Horus dies before he gets to,
yeah,
before he gets to Terra,
you needed to forge a harder narrative if you're losing Horus.
Like, you deserve to have 2, maybe even 3 points ripped out of you.
Honestly. First Blood is an iconic, classic, very controversial objective from back in the day. First Blood, though, is real simple. Whoever kills the first unit scores a point. If you both manage to kill a unit simultaneously, which I think is like a vehicle explosion or like a reaction or an initiative.
Reactions have...
Yeah, maybe if not a reaction.
I think it's simultaneous initiative steps.
Okay, yeah. So if you simultaneously kill a unit, you both get a point, but that's not going to happen too often.
No, especially since it's First Blood, so likely the first unit dies.
Probably usually shooting, just somebody gets
blasted. I mean, we played enough 6th with First Blood in there to
you would just go kill someone.
You just usually just find somebody and blat them.
Last man standing. This one's fun. The side of the greater number of surviving units. It doesn't matter how many points it is, but whoever has the most units left gains a point.
Okay. Seems good.
Attrition. It's the opposite. If you kill the most units, you get a point.
I like the push and pull between the two of those.
Yep, because you don't know which one's going to be like used in a given game. So you don't want to be like, I'm going to take nothing but small units. Think of like 40k players that take all the servitors and like land speeders and like single small units spread out across the board.
And you show up and it's kill points today.
Yeah, and it's kill points, and then attrition's one of the secondaries. And you're like, ugh.
Yeah, but if you show up to try and, make attrition work for you, and you've taken 1 unit, you take 7 characters and you jam them in the unit, and you're like...
You will not be the last man standing.
No, you will not, in fact, be the last man standing.
2 more. So we've got Linebreaker, which is simply have a model, at least 1 model, not even a unit.
From 1 or more scoring
units. So usually that's going to be line. Usually it's going to be line.
Usually it's going to be line, occasionally not.
Within 12 inches of the enemy table edge, they score a victory point, and the final one is the price of failure. If you lose a Lord of War, your opponent gains a point.
The Linebreaker is very interesting with Search and Destroy. Because a player's battlefield edges are any that form part of their deployment zone. So you get someone to here. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
You get someone to here. Well,
That's part of it. Yeah, that's
part of it, and this is very hard to do, actually.
Yeah,
and you get someone over there, and literally get someone within 12 inches of any of the 2
Yeah, everyone's got Linebreaker there.
Yeah. And it's random, so you might get that, but it's even for you and your opponent. So, hey.
True.
And then the price of failure, John. Do not fail, for there is a price.
If you take a Lord of War and they kill the Lord of War, your opponent's got a point.
I like these balancing mechanics.
Yeah, like if you take the good stuff, it will hurt worse if you lose it. Like, you just lost the good stuff, you dingus.
Yeah, if you take a Lord of War, a very powerful piece usually, and everything goes according to plan, awesome.
Yeah.
But if it starts going not according to plan...
Yeah, and I like it because, as well, if you mess around and you get a Primarch killed, you probably shouldn't be winning this game. It should not feel like a victory.
Yeah, you should not at the end be like, but I got 2 more points than you, therefore I won. Whereas Horus is lying dead on the ground.
Yeah, Horus dying to Tactical Marines, completely embarrassed.
Yeah, his last wound came under the chainsword bayonets of the tactical squad.
Well, they've got shred. It's a lot of attacks. I mean, Horus can only kill 10 or 15 of them at once. The remainder are going to get there.
And he's toughness 8 or something.
Yeah, maybe.
I think he'd be toughness 10 once a game. I forget.
Don't doubt the humble bolt gun, Jack. We're going to make him +1 strength somehow. All right.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah, brother. So, a couple more things. They do define an objective marker and how to control it. It is exactly what you think it is. It is a marker that is between 1 and 2 inches in diameter.
Oh, poker chips.
We're going to use the classic 40 mils, I think, because that is just iconic and also what we've been using the whole time.
Yeah.
Controlling objective markers, you have to be within 3 inches, same as before. A unit can only hold 1 objective marker.
There's something that feels wrong about objective markers that are like dime sized. It's like, am I really trying to control that?
It's a 40 mil. 40 mil base every time.
I want a poker chip.
It's classic. You don't mess with classics.
That's right. Controlling objective markers, they require you to have line or scoring. Scoring specifically.
But line is one of the ways to get scoring. So line is very important. But interestingly enough, so only line or another subtype that gives something scoring can hold an objective. Anyone can contest an objective. So to control an objective marker, you have to have a scoring unit on it and no enemy denial units nearby. And a denial unit is... Do you want to read that?
Yeah, it is not anything embarked on a transport,
Reasonable.
a vehicle, anything that says you don't get denial unit. It is falling back or pinned, or it is a building or fortification. So those turn 5 pinning checks are going to be...
Oh my god, imagine I'm like, well, I'm not going to kill this Terminator squad. Let's give them a pinning check.
Hit the deck!
Hit the deck, boys.
But vehicles not counting as denial units is actually a big deal.
That is. But anything fast, so like an Outrider bike squad, which we've kind of made fun of for not being that optimal, but like a fast unit that can contest an objective is actually going to be quite powerful.
Hey, maybe the White Scars knew what they were doing all along.
That's the spirit right there, Jeff. You know.
All right. So some missions have special rules, like they tell you how you can reserve or what you can do that way.
Yep.
There's also night fighting, which, by the way,
you're going to want to fight at night all the time, aren't you?
Was it? What's
Night Lords
Night
can
Lords.
just turn off the light.
Oh yeah, they can have a what is it? I forget with words. What's the word?
Night vision?
No. The special regiments and whatnot.
Oh yeah, the rights of
rights
war.
of war. They can have a right of war. Sorry, 50 million rule sets.
Yep.
They can have a right of war where it just is night fighting.
I'm imagining like you walk up to the battlefield and there's a Night Lord in the middle and he just turns off the lights.
Turns off the lights.
Yeah, it's clap activated, obviously. Just sun's out.
Yeah, sun's out, guns out. Yeah.
Sun's out, guns are out of range.
That's correct. Because
how doesn't? Yeah.
So the if you decide if a mission has a night fighting special rule, either player can declare that they wish to fight the battle at night. Which means if I decide I want to fight at night, then we are fighting at night.
Wow.
If both of us say we don't want to, then we're not.
Okay.
It's if the mission specifies there is night fighting in effect.
Got it. Okay. So if there's no night fighting, you can't just like pull it out of your butt. Like I really, really like it to be dark right now.
I would please
turn off the lights. No.
Yeah, no.
It's high noon,
If I declare I want it to be night fighting on a 2+, it is during turn 1. And then at the beginning of turn 2 on a 4+, it is. And then after that, nah, it ain't anymore. Night Lords, it just is turns 1 and 2. And turn 3 is, I think, a 4+.
Yeah, Night Lords had some good mechanics for that.
So
if night fighting is active,
while it is night fighting, unless you have night vision, which again, Night Lords have, if they have their Primarch in there with them. But anyway, all units take -1 leadership and ballistic skill.
Leadership.
It's dark out. You're scared.
Custodes is scared of the dark.
Well,
Wouldn't
not that scared unless he fails a leadership check. Then he's very scared.
Yeah. Okay.
No unit may draw line of sight to any unit that is more than 24 inches away. And if barrage weapons target a unit that's more than 24 inches away, you got to reroll all results a hit on the scatter dice.
Okay.
Hard to shoot people at night.
So you just can't draw a line of sight that's more than 24 inches. If you ignore line of sight, you're rerolling hits out beyond that point.
Any model at night counts there as being just a giant wall 24 inches away. You can't see anything past it.
Whoa.
It doesn't matter what your rules are. If it says it needs to be line of sight, it does not. It is not. And then the penalty to leadership is ignored by any unit with the fearless or stubborn special rules, a Primarch unit, or any unit with the night vision special rule. And the night vision, they ignore the penalties to leadership and ballistic skill and the restriction in drawing lines.
And then Primarchs also ignore it. So basically Primarchs have night vision, which, yeah, fair enough.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
So night vision I apologize. Night fighting is basically just you're not really getting a good gun line out of this turn 1.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure any list I'm gonna make is gonna want it to be night.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, I don't know. Guns. Well, there's gonna be some games where night vision is an option, Jack, and then
I'm like,
shame.
Huh?
Yeah, it's high noon. Okay, so
high noon.
They do explain arriving from reserves. and how to make reserve rolls. They also explain the advanced reaction for Interceptors. Ooh. Oh, we haven't seen that. We haven't read that one yet.
Yeah, we didn't.
The advanced reaction for Interceptor may be made whenever an enemy unit enters play from reserve within line of sight of a friendly unit and within maximum range. Just make shooting attack, targeting unit deployed on the battlefield in this phase. Following all the rules for shooting attacks. Okay, that's just... You
What?
just shoot them, yeah.
You just shoot them?
You do just shoot them.
No range requirement. We're not 9th editioning up in this.
Click, clack. Nope.
No, just get shot.
Immediately shoot them. Vehicles
But
may
it
only
does
fire...
use up your reaction.
It does, which is important. So if you get someone to use up some reactions while you're moving at them, then it's like, you don't have reaction left. And if you're saving it, then maybe they don't do something.
Yeah, it's a very interesting way to handle it.
All right. Interesting. All right, so... there's also rules for leaving the battlefield if a mission requires that. None of the ones in here do. But let's actually break through the 6 missions here.
Let's do it.
Blood Feud!
Mission 1 is Blood Feud.
Blood Feud.
So, some people are just mad at each other.
Absolutely.
They're just angry.
Such as me and whatever army you take. I have a personal grudge against that, man.
I've heard quite often, actually. You're very hurtful with it.
I'll do it again.
I know.
All right. So, real simple. Every mission has a clause of, agree on a points value.
Yep.
Before any models are determined, deployment maps must be determined. Yep. And all scenery must be set up. So you set up scenery, then you determine the map.
Yep.
Then you deploy.
Yep.
And in Blood Feud, the player who deploys first selects their deployment zone and then deploys their entire army. So you roll off, and whoever wins chooses who goes first or second.
Yep.
And then if you go first, you deploy your entire army, and then you will have the first turn.
Yes. Unless seize the initiative happens.
Unless your opponent seizes.
Unless they seize.
Spicy.
And also in here, each player should determine their Blood Feud target.
Yes.
We'll get back to that when
that sounds important.
Primary objectives.
And the game will just last for 6 turns and no random game length.
Yep, which is a bit odd for something with the Blood Feud. Like, there's no objectives really to control.
Absolutely none. 6 turns of murder.
But, it's just 6 rounds in the Thunderdome.
My goal is to not take any line units and ask my opponent if they'd like to play Blood Feud every time.
Huh? Would you like to murder?
Would you like the Blood Feud? I don't know.
All right, so here's the way you win a Blood Feud, all right?
You each pick a type of unit.
Yes, infantry, demon, dreadnought and automata, cavalry and flyers, non-flyer vehicles, and primarchs.
What a bold shot to be like, I'm going to call primarchs, and your opponent's like, primarchs? But I believe it is a secret.
It is a secret.
It is a secret.
So if you start hunting a primarch, but you can make them think you're going after, like,
well, I mean, I'm going to hunt a
something.
primarch because of pride. If Lorgar is on the battlefield, I want to beat him in combat with Sigismund because that's average.
But if you're maybe an Alpha Legion-y kind of chap,
Yeah.
you might try and make your opponent think you're going after their primarch. And then with their primarch, is on 3 wounds or whatever at the end of the game, having slaughtered its way through half your army as you attempt to bring it down, only to find out that was never your goal all along. Your goal, in fact, was to kill all their infantry, and you've succeeded.
That would be pretty tricky.
That would be pretty tricky.
That's an
You'd have to be a tricky boy.
A tricksy boy indeed. So you get points for each unit of the type you chose, not for anything you destroy. Units of the type you chose. So you get 1 point per infantry unit you kill, 1 point per demon unit you kill, 2 victory points per dreadnought/automata unit.
Which I'm assuming against AdMech is going to be
That's probably going to be juicy. 2 victory points for each cavalry and flyer, 2 victory points for each non-flyer vehicle, and 6 victory points per primarch you kill. If you are the biggest Chad and you get 12 points on this one,
you're playing like a 7,000 point game anyway.
Yeah, probably yeah. You could get 2 primarchs in like it's 4,000 point.
Probably
game.
a 4,000. Yeah.
4,000 point game is like
Not easy.
Like Buddy Cop episode. Smash Bros are back.
I would totally run an army that's just all 9 primarchs or just all 9 primarchs. Blood Feud. I mean, at that point, you have to pick Blood Feud.
I would kind of want to play that. Actually, that'd be really fun.
Kind
of want to play
I
that.
kind of want to do that. Yeah.
You'd have to paint a lot of primarchs, and that is.
Oh no!
I do enjoy.
Are we
painting
gonna
primarchs.
have to paint some primarchs?
I've got 2 of them, so like.
And then
only need 16
Then
more.
we both pick Primarch, and we play Blood Feud, and we just
get it.
go to.
So, as we kind of indicated, there are secondaries for each mission. So in Blood Feud, you get Slay the Warlord, which is the same as described in the book. There is Last Man Standing, same as described in the beginning. And the Price of Failure, same thing.
Yep. Oh, by the way, Angron would be gross in that game.
Oh, jeez. He challenges 9 primarchs at once. It's like,
Once.
So interestingly enough, you can use reserves in this mission, and you can use night fighting in this mission.
Yes.
All right, but not everyone may have those.
Yep.
Mission 2, Onslaught. This is one where we actually do have objectives to fight over. So we're getting to that point.
Yes, we do. And the deployment's a bit wonky.
It is. So the players roll off. The winner may choose to deploy first or second. And instead of just deploying your entire army at once like some of the other missions, you place one unit down, then your opponent does, and you alternate back and forth. But there is a specific order to this from the stage deployment rules, meaning that you start by deploying forts, then Lords of War and Primarch, then heavy support, then troops, then elites, then HQs, then fast attacks. So if you don't have those, you just go down the list of the next thing and you deploy it in that order.
I actually really like that. I kind of wish they would do that in 40K.
I actually like that a lot. If you're going to alternate, it's like, yeah, you have to put the big stuff down first. It's a little annoying when they're like, my servitor unit's behind the wall. Where's your Castellan?
Could
My
be anywhere.
second servitor unit's behind the wall next to the first. And you're like, oh god, deploy the Castellan. But they never do.
They deploy it dead last.
Every
You
time.
always want to find out where the broadsides are. You always want to find out where the Devastators are. You always want to know where the Castellan is.
It does make sense that the fort has to be first, though, as it should be.
It really does, doesn't it?
Really does.
It is funny that if you go second, your opponent doesn't have a fort. They put down a unit, and your fort's like, I shall look at that deployment, and I shall go over here now.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to go. After this, so the player who deployed the first unit also has the first turn unless they cease. So same thing, if you deploy first, you go first.
Oh, no, hold on. You don't alternate like that. You alternate until you run out of that type. So in that case where my opponent didn't have a fort and I do, I put my fort down first, and then they take the next turn with Lord of War and Primarchs. So if neither side has fortifications, Lord of War, or Primarchs, you just go to heavy support.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, but if I have a fortification,
we alternate,
and I put down all my forts first, and then
I think that works better that way.
I think it really does.
Yeah, that's I like that rule a lot, honestly. Any enemy. So now we're getting to primary objectives, and there are two ways to score primary objectives. So first up, we each put it after we know what the deployment zones are. Each of us puts one objective marker down in the other person's deployment zone.
Yeah, kind of calling your shot, sort of Babe Ruth style.
That's where I'm gonna go.
Like I'm going over the bleachers
these are worth
over there.
Points, so you want them somewhere you can get them.
Yeah, or you can make a statement and just put on your opponent's backboard and say like, whatever, I'm going there anyway, dog.
Going there anyway. So you got one victory point for each enemy unit destroyed during the first game turn. Whew.
Yes. So do not tee your army up to get tabled turn one.
Do not.
I mean, don't do that in general, but really don't in this mission.
So that not bad. And then also, if a player has control the onslaught objective in their opponent's deployment zone at the end of the game, you gain 5 victory points. So only if you get the one in your opponent's half, you get points. Yours is worth nothing.
Yours is worth exactly zero.
It's just worth your opponent not holding it, if we're being honest.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time this game is going to come down to the attrition secondary and slay the warlord.
So
you do have to be very careful about how many units you're expending to get to the objective. Because if you get it, dope, 5 points. If you don't get it, maybe I gave up attrition and my opponent wins by a point.
Oh, no.
Ooh, no.
Yeah, so the secondaries here are Slay the Warlord and Attrition and the Price of Failure again. Warlord is one that seems to be pretty common so far.
Yeah, and Price of Failure as well.
Yes. And then the mission rules are reserves, night fighting, and stage deployment. Stage deployment is the order of operations that we talked about before. Mm-hmm. So that's a special one for this mission.
I believe that's the only one with stage deployment, but it's quite nice. I kind of, as I said, I kind of wish they would do that in Ninth a little.
All right, we're on to Shadow Strike. This one's funky.
I'm trying to remember which one this is.
This is getting your opponent's deployment zone.
Right.
In your base, kill your dudes.
Right. I'm just in your base, killing your mans. Yes, so to determine deployment order, they roll off, blah, blah, blah. Player who deploys first selects their deployment zone and then deploys their entire force, including any fortifications, in their deployment zone, going second in their deployment zone.
Yep.
Okay, person goes first, deploys first, goes first, unless their opponent sees initiative. Well, this mission has either 5 or 6 turns.
Yes, this one is random.
Yes, unlike the previous two. The previous two were just...
fixed amount of turns.
Yes, I believe 6 and 6.
Yep, so both of them were just 6 turns flat, no questions asked.
This one, you get to the end of turn 5. Oop, maybe there's a 6th turn, maybe there isn't.
It's a 4+ to determine that.
That's right. And then at the end of the game, the primary objective is each player scores 2 victory points for every friendly scoring unit in their opponent's deployment zone.
Scoring.
And 1 victory point for every friendly denial unit in your opponent's scoring.
So anything that's not a vehicle.
That's right, basically.
Yeah. So,
or unless it's pinned.
Unless it's pinned.
So you put your unit in their deployment zone, and they're like, ooh, I can't really deal with that. Pin them.
Yeah, just don't kill them, pin them.
Or make them fall back.
So that's really...
That's it.
That's it.
That's primer. Just get in your opponent's deployment zone.
Shove every model and every unit you have in your opponent's deployment zone, but don't lose attrition on the way.
Yeah, because attrition is one of the secondaries, along with the classic Slay the Warlord and Price of Failure.
So those three seem to be the real staple here.
And again, night fighting is in effect, which means I do actually like night fighting in a lot of these missions because it really helps with the turn 1 advantage of shooting armies.
Yeah. Well, just imagine trying to, get your kills on turn 1 for that second mission for Onslaught. Imagine trying to get your kills on turn 1 when you can't shoot anything 24 inches away. You have to jam in the middle if you're going to try to get those.
Yeah, how exactly are you going to do that?
Hope that neither of you want Night Fight.
Honestly. Or play Night Lords.
Play Night Lords.
Night Lords are pretty hot with that.
It's actually kind of cool.
Yeah. Or you could just both agree to not play night fighting because that's the thing. You can both wait until dawn and just go then.
That's when we start.
Yep.
Quite interesting.
All right, next up is Dominion. And again, I think all of these have reserves and night fighting as rules. No, one of them does not.
War of Lies is Mission 6 does not.
Does not have night fighting.
But everyone has reserves as a rule of these. I'm sure that there will be some ambush mission or some custom campaign pack where your army's on the march, no one thought to put out reserves, and you get hit. It's like, I'm sorry, everyone's already here.
Yep.
All right. Dominion is number 4.
So, again, player deploys first, deploys their entire army in the deployment zone, player going second.
Classic.
Same deal. Again, 5 to 6 game turns.
Play 5 turns, roll a dice on a 4+, there's a whole extra turn.
Yes. So this one is the most ninth-like of all the missions because you put out 5 objectives. There's one in the center.
But they are player-placed.
They are player-placed. Well, there's one dead in the center. And then each player deploys 2 anywhere on the board. I believe there is a range...
I think it's 12 inches away from each other.
Here we go. No less... you can set up terrain as... That's what's messing me up here. You can set up terrain as objectives as well.
Yeah. So the rule is that you place 5 objectives.
Right. Outside 6 inches of each other or a battlefield edge.
Yeah.
And that can mean they're really close.
Yeah, and that's outside of the player's deployment zone. So this is the one where all 5 objectives are placed not in any deployment zone. And is this the one where they go in the center, or is that a different mission?
One is in the center.
One is in the center?
One objective each in...
I don't think so. It's tricky.
I might be thinking of a different one. Yeah, I think I'm thinking of a different one.
That's okay. But so there's 5 objectives placed. Absolutely none of them are in a deployment zone.
No, they're all in the center of the board. And one person can try and spread them out, and one person can try and pack them together, but you're going to have a spread of 5 objectives.
And then at the start of each active player's turn, you gain 1 victory point for each objective mark you control.
Yeah.
So
that should be right.
Interestingly enough, if you put it right next to your objective, you could still hold it with a 3-inch.
But that's very vanilla, right?
Yeah.
What if you're looking for a little spice in your life, John?
Well, the secondaries are a little different in this one.
They're a little wonky.
So there's 3 secondaries. There's Slay the Warlord, Attrition, and the Price of Failure.
Which sounds very...
Same as it always has been.
Right.
But there's an asterisk on both Slay the Warlord and Attrition.
Yeah. If you Slay the Warlord, you get D3 victory points at the end of the game. So that's... You roll at the end of the game to see how many victory points you get off that. And if you win Attrition, it's also D3. And if you kill a Primarch, it's D3 plus 3.
Yeah, do not lose your Primarch on Dominion. You will lose the game.
Yes, you really...
Just not where you want to be.
Yeah, D3 plus 3 is very interesting.
Brutal.
If you lose that and a Lord of War... Just don't do it.
It's over, buddy.
So you are taking a risk bringing your Primarch to the battlefield.
Indeed. It's actually a little bit of a disadvantage because, he's a wrecking ball. Because they all are.
They should be.
If you lose one...
Woo! I mean, it's very thematic, right? Yeah. They are masterful warriors. They are amazing at turning the tide. But please don't die.
Yeah, if your opponent kills one, they're like, I just won this game. I don't care what happened. I just killed a Primarch.
Yeah, they're just doing a TikTok dance on the other side of the table. And you're like, please stop. We can still do points. They're like, I don't care.
I killed a Primarch. All right, Mission 5, Tide of Carnage. My favorite name of the 6, by the way. It's Tide of Carnage. All right, read them and weep. What we got?
All right, so deploy first, set up, and then whoever deploys first goes first.
Pretty standard.
Interesting.
Deploy the whole army.
Deploy the entire army. The mission lasts for 5 turns, no ifs, ands, or buts.
And your opponent can seize.
And the primary objective is Tide of Carnage. Each sector of the battlefield is worth a certain amount of victory points to the side who controls at the end of the game. And that means you have to have a scoring unit in that sector, and no enemy denial units in that sector.
No denial
and
units.
No scoring units left in that sector.
Got it.
Sorry, so denial units take a hike. They don't matter.
Yeah. But this one is all about scoring units. Some of these I was like, I don't really care who has scoring units or not. Like,
Yeah.
But this is one we're having scoring units. Big deal.
Big deal.
You
If you have a scoring unit and your opponent has no scoring units in your deployment zone, you get 3 points.
Okay.
All right.
Solid.
Reasonable enough.
Yeah.
In no man's land, 5 points. Fine.
Solid.
In your opponent's 7. That is the real business.
Big flex right there.
Yes. Again, Slay the Warlord, Price of Failure, but this one has Last Man Standing, so the greatest number of surviving units get a
Not
point.
attrition in this one.
And this one has a interesting mission special rule called Heavy Armor. Vehicles that are not flyers are scoring.
Boom. That is a big one.
That is a big one.
Big
for
one.
sure.
I really want to just have like rhinos.
Yeah, well, you can't have Carnage if they're all vehicles.
It's true, but they're going to score. So,
They are going to score.
And then, reserves, night fighting, and heavy armor are the rules here. Heavy armor is the vehicle scoring, but still using night fighting in this one. So 5 to 6 missions have night fighting as an access.
I could really
All of them have
see
reserves.
this one coming down to Last Man Standing quite often. Who
Yeah.
has more
I
units
feel like this is
remaining at
list
the end of the
construction.
game?
It's like who is willing to compromise on scoring units for damage before realizing, ooh, Tide of Carnage is the mission that punishes you for not taking line units. So if you're the kind of player who doesn't like painting tactical marines and those basic legionnaires with bolt guns, and you're like, I'm just gonna take more dreadnoughts and like raptors, possessed maybe, that's cool, but there's a 1 in 6 chance that the mission is like you have made a mistake.
Hey, Mike Alvorback can be scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I could see it quite honestly, quite often coming down to each player has their own deployment zone.
Yeah.
Or each player has nothing because you're fighting all over the map. And it comes, nobody killed each other's warlord. And then it comes down to Last Man Standing. So you got to be careful while you're contesting all these objectives. You don't lose too many units.
Well, there's no objectives in this. It's just the 3 zones.
While you're contesting the zones.
Yeah.
You don't lose too many units.
Don't want that.
Yeah.
All right, one more. War of Lies. Also kind of a 5-star name.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
That's pretty good.
It is
War
the
of
last one. This is the
Lies.
only one. Weirdly enough, War of Lies is the only one fought during the day.
Yes. No lies at night.
No night
Certainly
fighting.
no one does it at night.
This is the one that I was thinking of. A single objective marker is placed as close to the center of the battlefield as possible. Each player then takes turns placing 2 objective markers each anywhere on the battlefield, no closer than 12 inches from another objective marker, and no closer than 6 from any battlefield edge. This is different from the one before. The one before is they could be 6 inches away from each other. This one they have to be 12 inches away from each other. So they're going to be quite spread out.
Solid.
All right. This one lasts 6 turns. No ifs, ands, or buts. Last one was 5. This one is just 6. And then at the end of the game, each side gains 1 victory point for each unit they've destroyed or that is falling back.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the game, roll a d6 on the table to determine the worth, if any, of each of the objectives controlled by that player at the end of the game. And 1 or 2, they're worth 0.
Rough.
On a 3 or 4, they're worth 1. On a 5 or 6, they're worth 3. So Mark is unbeatable at this.
Yeah. Oh my God. Richard, could you imagine?
Oh my God.
Richard is like,
he needs to roll the 5s?
He just needs to roll 5s. When Mechanicum come out, Richard is like, War of Lies.
You need
It's the
to
only
make
one I'm willing
sure
play.
he holds 0 objectives. Because if he holds 1 and you hold 4, you will
score.
lose the game.
2 to 1.
100%. Yeah, 2 to 3, 1 to 3, 0 to 3 even.
Yep. Yeah, so you do gain a victory point for each unit destroyed or that is falling back.
Yes.
So you can try to mitigate the random element here. But if it's a close game, basically War of Lies is you need to step on the gas and get that advantage. You don't want to be like close game, even objectives. Let's roll off to see who got points.
Yeah, don't leave it to the judges. You got to go out there and you got to get a finish.
Yeah. Still pretty cool. And there's only 2 secondaries in this one, which is Slay the Warlord and the Price of Failure.
So the Slay the Warlord is in all of them. Price of Failure is in all of them. And usually there's one other.
Yeah, and usually it's most of them were attrition. There was 1 Last Man Standing. First Blood does not feature in here. Nor did Linebreaker, oddly enough.
Really?
There was no First Blood or Linebreaker.
I mean, even in the mission where you just have to get in your opponent's deployment zone?
I did not see a First Blood or Linebreaker.
Okay.
But they are there as existing secondaries that could be used in either future missions or any custom ones you wanted to forge with yourself.
Yeah, most of the time it's Attrition or Last Man Standing. So Last Man Standing, Attrition. Last Man Standing, nothing.
Okay, so 3 of them had Attrition, 2 had Last Man Standing. All of them had Slay the Warlord and Price of Failure. And then 1 of them only had those 2.
Yep. All right.
Those are the missions. So I'm really excited for these. They're definitely a throwback to the past. I like that there's a lot of, like, I feel like a lot of these games are actually decided after the violence has occurred, where it's like you don't want to just like sit back and just wait a lot, because if so and your opponent's running at you just doing damage, you might actually not have the resources left. It feels like you need to be constantly making sure your opponent doesn't just table you in time to just win the game. But there's also some interesting first and second turn dynamics in this.
Yeah, for sure. Deploy first, go first. It's been a bit since we played that.
Yeah, deploy first, go first is back. Seize the initiative's back. You know White Scars rolled 2 dice in that seize roll, Jack. You know they do. Yeah!
I remember wanting to reverse seize a lot in 6th edition.
That's the thing, but I rolled 2 dice as well when we determine who goes first. So I may just win the roll off and be like, go ahead, Jack. Just take this one.
Oh, God, you're going to be insufferable with that. You're going to be so insufferable.
Woo, White Scars! I'm just sorry, Jack. I'm too fast to go first. I'm just too fast.
You sure there isn't a clause in there where you have to go first because you're
No,
I just can't be stopped?
I think I just win roll-offs, man. It's 2 dice.
Well, at least you're not like Siegs where he just gets it with 1 die.
Yeah, well, I will have to use 2 dice to try to win a roll-off. And frankly, I still doubt I'm going to hit 50% on these things, knowing myself.
We'll see.
I am pretty bad at roll-offs, my guy.
Yeah,
you ever see me get stuck in combat with witches? It was embarrassing, just a constant. All right, so these are the missions. We're hoping to start getting our armies painted up and get these on board soon.
My word bearers.
The White Scars. We've got a Forge World order coming in soon. We're very excited for that. So really, really excited about this going forward. But if you have any questions, any feedback for us after this video, please let us know. Again, we're just dipping our toes into 30K for the first time this month. So please let us know what you like, what you enjoy. Please share with your friends. We're really, really excited and passionate about Horus Heresy. We're looking forward to getting some models painted, getting some games on the table.
Absolutely.
So let us know if you found this helpful, if you like this kind of video, and let us know what you want to see in the future. We actually did this video because someone else asked for us to do a video reviewing the missions. Yeah. They said that would be helpful. Boom, here it is. So if there's something that you want to see from us about the Horus Heresy, make sure to put in the comments below. Let us know. Because we really want to do whatever the community is most interested in. We're doing this for you. This is a project of passion. So
yeah, damn, this has been a real trip down memory lane.
It really has. So
it's been a while since I played 6th and 7th edition, and I'm just looking at rules, being like, right, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, this is a thing.
Oh
so,
yeah.
Let us know what you're thinking, everyone. And as always, if you also enjoy Warhammer 40K, check out the rest of our YouTube channel. As always, give us a like, share, subscribe, and you can find some more of our high-quality 40K tactics in the Art of War Warroom. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
There's so many rules in 40K, hundreds of events, and constant updates. Skip the learning curve of Warhammer and join the pros. Art of War is led by multiple world champions with decades of success. We teach clinics, stream games, and inspire you to succeed at your favorite hobby. Join our global community of gamers just like you.